Hey Indiegogo, Matt Jenkins here, creator of Allendria, game developer, and thinker of things. I'm on my way to Burning Man, and I just had to get this update out before I hit the playa. So here we go. I'm a game developer. I worked on Skate 2 as a designer and Skate 3 as a producer. Started a couple of indie startups, and our latest title is called Disaster Defender. It's the first serious casual game, and it's set in Haiti after the earthquake, where you play a team of international superheroes there to help the people of Haiti. And I also am one of the first game graduates. I have a master's degree in digital media from Vancouver, the Centre for Digital Media in Vancouver, Canada, which is an awesome institution. But Allendria came before all that. In fact, about 15 years ago is when it started, and it's really the reason why I got into all this in the first place. So here's a story. It's a story about a game that became a world. And it starts in a setting that's familiar to most gamers, in a parent's basement somewhere, surrounded by dice and character sheets and empty snack bowls and friends. And, you know, pen and paper RPGs are a lost art. The kind where you see the whites of your game master's eyes and watch him sweat as you and him and everybody else comes together to tell the story. And that's what we're doing here with this Indiegogo campaign and with Allendria as a whole. It's in real time, it's collaborative, and any mistakes are just a part of the flow. So it starts in my parents' basement, and my parents were the loving sort. They really took their duties seriously, and decided that Dungeons and Dragons was not fit for my consumption. So instead, to get into RPGs, I found another system called GURPS from Steve Jackson Games. It was pretty popular back then. And GURPS stands for the Generic Universal Role-Playing System. But my father, to be on the safe side, ripped the chapter on magic out of my first GURPS sourcebook, leaving my GURPS more generic but less universal, particularly if you wanted a universe based on magic. I certainly did, and I will be forever grateful to my father for ripping away from me any chance I had to be influenced by the pop fantasy understanding of magic that was so prevalent in RPGs at the time. So thanks, Dad. Anyway, Allendria was a game that became a world, and unfortunately my father could not protect me from every armchair magus with a story to tell. And so the worlds that I was influenced by in my earliest days were Stephen Lawhead, the worlds of Albion and others that he created both in the past and in the future. I had an insane appetite for Tolkien. I read Lord of the Rings the first time. It took me 3 days, one day per book. And in addition to that, Ursula Le Guin, the Earthsea trilogy, and some of her other sci-fi stuff really influenced me. And of course, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, the behemoth 13, 14 books, I don't know how many there are now, but I read that every time a new book came. I would read it right through. In addition to that, later on I was affected by William Gibson and Neil Stephenson, and those two really gave me the tone and the setting for my first novel set in Allendria. I call it Manapunk. So this first story set in Allendria, it's Gyro's story. And Gyro is a boy who's allergic to magic. And this story is a relative latecomer to Allendria, but it's the first that I'm going to tell. And it's the first that I'm going to tell because it's set in a world of dying magic. It's for the inheritors of our dying world, the children who stand under the weight of history but are not crushed. And it's our story. They are the Manaborn. And the Manaborn stand at the end of history, at the end of Allendria, and they live at the end of the world. And their story is so familiar, and it's set in a familiar setting because it's our story. But the whole Allendria enterprise started in a land that's not so familiar to us. It started halfway around the world 10 years ago when I went to India and before that Australia, and then after that Nepal. I had dipped my toes in the waters of academia in my ripe age of 19 years old, and decided that they were a little bit too tepid for me just yet. So I launched myself to the other side of the globe and went through a 6-month process that started in Australia, which was really a time of reflection for me, and then India, which was a time of desperation and frustration, and then Nepal, which was a time of transformation. But right in the middle of that all, right in the middle of it all, on a particularly hot and painful stretch, 2 weeks in Hyderabad, India, is when Allendria really became alive for me. I was there and doing everything that you're supposed to do to take care of yourself, but still somehow managed to get so sick that all I could do for 2 weeks was basically go from the place we were staying to the little chai tea shop on the corner and back. And the only thing that I could do to pass the time and keep myself sane was to write, and to write, and to drink little thimblefuls of chai tea, and to write some more. And during that time, revisiting this Allendrian world that I'd created as a boy, role-playing in it, was basically like a Tolkien knockoff, but revisiting it in India at the time that I was at, I took those strands together, those just beginnings of something, and started to weave them into a more coherent world. That was 10 years ago, and today I stand here ready to do it again. It's not sickness that makes me do it now, but necessity. This story needs to get out, and I need to take the time to write down and get it all out. And Allendria is a game that became a world, and with your help, it will become a story. The first story. The first story is called The Manaborn, and it's going to be a full-blown novel. It's going to be a few hundred pages, a killer plot, awesome characters, and a world with a magic system that you have not seen before. The first edition is going to run about 200 paperbacks and 30 hardcovers. There's going to be game art in both. The hardcovers are going to be super awesome, high quality, super full bleed, full color game art, and they're all going to be signed. And in addition to that, pledging for this campaign gets you a mention in the credits, and also participation in Allendria Online. Because this thing is not just a book. It's a video game. It's a world. And I always said that Tolkien had Latin and Greek on me, but I have the internet on him. And so Allendria is our story. And once the Manaborn becomes alive for its readers the same way that it became alive for me, I'm going to write 2 more. And in parallel, I'm also going to be producing the game. And so I really want feedback on both halves, on the book and on the game. And so whether you're going to be just like in online and focus on beta testing and seeing what we got coming down the pipe there, or whether you want the physical hardcover or paperback in your hand, please pledge. I am committed to this, and I'm so excited to write this for you guys. And over the next, I got a month and a half left in this campaign. I'm going to be posting updates. I'm going to be posting some more about the history and sort of where it came from, the different epochs in Allendria, as well as the future books, kind of where they'll be at, and you'll get to see some of the inner workings. But I'm also going to be posting another chapter, so I really hope you guys read my prose. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Again, facebook.com, Allendria the Manaborn. Allendria the Manaborn, all one word, and you can join the Facebook page. Please like it, comment, and I look forward to seeing your comments and your pledges. Thanks a lot, Indiegogo. Matt Jenkins, out.